Hello guys. Here we are right on Dixie Rock. This is Alina Erickson. I happened to find her here during this week and I thought we needed to do this interview. We're going to talk about an affidavit, but first we're going to show you this beautiful scenery we have around us because we're right on top of Dixie Rock here in St. George, Utah. Isn't that great? Isn't it beautiful?
It's awesome.
It's
Beautiful.
awesome. Look at the view. We're just doing the circle here, 360. And we're going to end up here with a light on our faces there. So awesome. So listen, guys, we have something very, very important to talk about. And that is the affidavit that we're trying to collect from everyone in the state of Utah. And this affidavit, the purpose of it is to turn it into Sean Reyes. And the affidavit is going to talk about our grievances and our damages through this pandemic, the so-called pandemic. We want people to come forward and say, things like, I have damages from all the mandates, all the closings of businesses, personal and property damages. So let's let Alina Erickson explain a little bit more about that because she is one of the masterminds behind this affidavit. Go ahead, Alina.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. So I'm not the author of it. I work with the natural doctor. She is, so credit to her. But I have a small little team and we're working on this. And why this is so important, and it's different than the rallies and the protests, which are important for motivation and gathering. This is our statement. And so anytime you have a crime, anytime you have an offense, an officer, a police officer is going to gather a statement, and that enables him to act. So without these statements, we're just kind of running circles, and it's really important that we get those statements in. And I want to just say, when we say damages, people think it's something big. If we understand that we are a free people and that we are here to enjoy this creation, so long as we don't hurt somebody else, that is our inalienable right, and that our unalienable right is the correct pronunciation. And so we need to report those things and just claim that natural right to be able to be free people on this beautiful creation and make decisions that are intuitive for us. And any kind of damage could be not being able to go to church, not being able to go to a funeral, a wedding, a baptism, those kinds of things. How about damages to your children and what's happening at school with being bullied or intimidated by teachers, or coming home with rashes or crying because they have headaches from the mass? That could extend to your businesses, anything that Raul here mentioned about closures. It's incalculable. So whatever, if you're just upset about what's going on, we want to hear your story. That's what this is about.
Exactly. There's just many damages. There's economic damages. There's people who have physically been damaged. And, the rate of suicide has gone up tremendously lately with all these mandates.
Yeah.
People have not been able to gather. They have not been able to go to church. They have not been able to open up their businesses and have full production and full participation from their employees and their patrons. There's just innumerable cost to what has happened, for a virus that has killed 0.3% of the people. That's 3 out of every 1,000 people who have contracted the virus have died. And most of them are people who had comorbidities, who had already COPD, cancer, heart disease, serious conditions, and they contract the virus, like the flu, and then they die, and that happens every year for all the history I can remember. So people who are weak already, they're gonna die from anything, so we don't see this virus as justifying all these closures and all these mandates and all the closing of all the churches and not being able to have gatherings with our families. This is a total abhorrent,
An abuse.
It's an abuse against the people. It's really how we see it. And we've seen a lot of people who suffered many damages. So this affidavit is very, very important so that we can show our claim to damages to the government and tell them you have been doing wrong. We want you to correct course because these people are going to be held to account one day. Isn't that right?
That's right. And there's a couple different ways of looking at this. When any officer, government officer, puts their hand on the Bible to swear an oath that they will protect the Constitution and represent the people, that is where we're at. And if we don't like what's happening, it's our civic responsibility to do something about it. It's not to just sit and obey, even though it makes us mad. We need to stand together and we need to do something about it.
Absolutely. We are working with different groups like Take Action for Freedom with Robin Openshaw and People's Rights. You got to text the word rights to 80123 and become a part of the platform as well, because we're calling people to action and we're standing between the government and you when they come to violate your rights. So we can summon people immediately to your aid, and if they come for your family, they're coming for me. So that's what People's Right does. And Take Action for Freedom from Robin Openshaw, we have joined forces to get this affidavit out to people. So how hard is it to get this affidavit done, Alina?
It's not hard at all. So at the very beginning of it, we have a little bit of a Declaration of Independence in there, and that is your assertion that you are God's creation and that you obey Him and His laws. In other words, whatever your higher power is, you live intuitively according to the dictates of your own conscience. That's what this is about, and that's the first statement. And then there's 6 spaces for you to just concisely write the damages that you have. There are some examples at the beginning of this affidavit to give you some ideas of how to be concise and write it out. We are also looking for fraud. So if you have received a positive for a COVID test you never took, or if you work in the medical field, we need your statements. If you are seeing things that do not jive with what the news is saying, we need those statements. I will also add, and to finish that, so you're going to write your statements. There's additional papers that you can add if you need to write more. And then you're going to get witnesses that are going to testify you are who you say you are and to your grievance. And then you're going to get a notary to sign it. And that's just kind of the cherry on top of a sealed deal that's how that is. You're affirming your truth. But I will add, this is really important. So I've talked to San Pete County Sheriff Nielsen, as well as Utah County Mike Smith. And they know that we are collecting these, and so we're going to work with it from both angles. We're going to just work. I'm going to scan all of these affidavits that come in, so I can send a file over to the sheriffs as well as to Sean Reyes. And we're hoping that the Attorney General's in a good position where he feels maybe betrayed a little bit by Herbert and Cox and getting that threat for impeachment. We need to hold these men accountable. This is their chance, according to their oath, not only in our state, but according to God, that they are being held on trial with us and in the spiritual, if you think about it that way, that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing and say, hey, we've hired you, we've elected you to be our public servant, and we're not happy about what's happening. We want our lives back, we want our freedom back. And then they have the choice of whether to act or not. And our group, I think there's many of us groups that we're just not going to give up. We're just going to keep doing whatever it takes. But we have to have these affidavits. They have to have your statement of harm. Otherwise, silence, in a sense, is acquiescence. And we don't want to agree to what's happening. We want to actually fight back.
Absolutely. This is part of the due process, and it's our responsibility to follow through with this. That's why I'm doing this video. That's why we're getting completely behind this effort. I think it's just part of what we need to do. This is our pledge to fight for freedom, and we need you to stand up. We need people to come to action, get this affidavit filled out. And, there's just incalculable damages on businesses too. So we want business owners to stand up as well, and they can claim, their damages on this affidavit, and that will be presented. And these people will be held accountable between heaven and earth. And one day we're going to be able to stand in front of the Lord and say, we did our part, and He's going to hold us accountable for that as well. So we want you to get into action, and we're going to have a link on the description below of this video so that you can find the affidavit, click on the link and be able to print it, fill it out, send it to Alina, and get this ball rolling. Right, Alina?
That's right. We're asking for hard copies. There's an address in the instructions, so please don't scan it. We're working from different locations. You can also send an email to ask further questions at thetruthutah@protonmail.com. Again, just 3 words, thetruthutah@proton, PROTON, mail.com. We can give you the direct link for the affidavit instructions there, and you can also ask any questions that you have.
Absolutely. Anything else you think we should add to this?
I would just encourage you to do it. We can keep some confidentiality. I know there's a lot of people where their jobs are on the line, and that is of concern, and we respect that. There's just an essence of public virtue where we have to come forward. We have to have the courage to say what needs to be said and to tell the truth and to preserve this great state and the country that we have been blessed with our founding fathers and from God. And so we need to make sure to do this effort. And no grievance is too small. Keep that in mind. Again, you can witness for, the atrocities that you've seen. Those are okay. It's just like seeing a crime scene or an accident, a car accident. They need bystanders, they need witnesses. And so if you've seen something, that's very helpful, but also get the people who've experienced that violation to do their own affidavits. So we need this spread far and wide. We technically have enough affidavits. We could just say, okay, let's go, let's run with it. And I'm just gonna keep sending these in batches. I don't care what it takes. If I have to just keep sending, here's 100 more, here's 100 more. I'm just gonna keep doing that because we want your voices heard and we want this impact, this major impact.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alina, for coming over here today. And look at this view. This is wonderful. We love this. We love this land and we want to keep it free. So anyways, just stick with us and turn into, just be a part of people's rights and take action for freedom. We need you. We need people to come to action. And remember, don't tread on me.
That's right.